Welcome to the Mindful Self-Indulgence Podcast, Ep.3, brought to you by theartofguitar.com. Find out how a piece of wood with strings on it can make you feel so good. That was kind of creepy.
Guys, if you haven't checked out Donnie Darko, the director's cut, you're missing out. I checked it out last night, and I realized there's so much stuff. First of all, I forgot I even owned the movie. My girlfriend's like, we don't have to watch it on Netflix. You got the Blu-ray. And then I realized I had it, and then we played the director's cut, and there's so much more to it. The music's different. There's In Excess in the beginning. There's a lot going on. There's little passages from that book of time travel. And if you guys can figure out what the movie really means, can you please let me know? Because I think I have an idea, but I hear there's a commentary with Kevin Smith, which should be interesting, with the director of the movie. So I'll be checking that out too to get some more clues, but help me out. Help a guy out over here. Okay, it looks like the new pattern is I record an entire 20-minute podcast, something happens and it erases and I have to start over, and then I end up doing like a really short 5-minute podcast. So if you're okay with that, that's what's going to happen today again. This happened yesterday as well. Anyways, I know I promised a guest today, but I wanted to throw this one in really quick before tomorrow, which I'll have a guest. Somebody had written me a question about self-esteem when it comes to playing guitar on the YouTube channel, and I wanted to answer it really quick because I think I have pretty good experience on both not having a lot of self-esteem and then letting it get to my head and exploding, basically. Hang on, I gotta use my inhaler really quick. Okay, I'm not gonna die. So first of all, when you start out with guitar, it's possible that you have really low self-esteem like I did. Even though I was decent at karate and I played some violin, I really didn't think I was great at anything, mostly because karate, I was good at forms, but I wasn't good at sparring. So I never really felt like I was a legit karate practitioner. I always felt like I was kind of a fraud. And with violin, I didn't care enough to really get great at it. Like I said before, I got kicked out of orchestra for trying to play my violin with a pick. So I really didn't feel like I was great at anything, and so I feel like my self-esteem was pretty low at the time when I started guitar. Well, after hours and hours of practicing and months and even years, it got to the point where I felt like I was getting better. And I was in a band, like I told you guys a million times now, with my friends, and we'd play parties and people would cheer for us and buy our t-shirts and back then our tapes and everything. And pretty soon your self-esteem starts to creep up a little bit. You know, the same people that used to tease you are now cheering for you in the crowd. So things change, but what can happen is your ego can go for that ride as well. So I believe all of our egos started getting a little bigger. And before we knew it, well, at least personally, I was getting stuck in a self-esteem / ego trap where they were kind of intertwined. And I got to the point where people thought I was a great guitar player just because I could play things fast, because I had, a lot of techniques that I practiced for hours and hours, but I really wasn't that in-depth of a guitar player. So because people were giving me accolades for where I was at, I didn't really have at the time the motivation to dig any deeper in guitar. So honestly, it wasn't until my band broke up that I actually went back to I shouldn't call it ground zero. I feel bad doing that nowadays. I went back to the 0 point where I felt like, you know what, I just have to start over and act like I'm a brand new guitar player. And that's when I joined that 3-piece band and I started playing different styles of music, and I actually felt free because I wasn't expected to be just a fast metal head anymore. And that speed trap can happen to a lot of people. And, we're all obsessed about getting faster, but I was actually at a good point then because I was free to do whatever I wanted to. So I started developing new techniques, studying guitar players I would have never studied. When I started looking at Brent Mason, going, wow, how's he making those crazy sounds? And I would have never studied country at, when I was in my metal phase, because I was just like, country sucks, And so when I took a deeper look at the guitar aspect of country, it intrigued me after I was free to do so in my mind. And so because I tried to purposely demolish my own ego / self-esteem at the time, it allowed me to once again rebuild in a new way with some depth finally, because I was focusing on not just being a fast guitar player, but actually knowing what I was doing and creating my own style. So that was kind of a good feeling. And so after a while, the self-esteem, filled in because I'm like, you know what? I already played the band thing. We had people cheering for us. We played big clubs and all that was taken care of. But then after I destroyed everything and built it back up, I felt like the self-esteem was a little bit more of a help than a hindrance this time because I didn't put my self-esteem, I didn't base it off of other people's opinions of me anymore because I felt like I did all that stuff, like I said. So instead, I grounded it in the idea of just trying to master really difficult things. So with guitar, of course, it's a lifelong pursuit. And if you really want to get deep with guitar, you'll know it's a tough thing to master any part of the guitar. So I'm like, you know what? As long as I'm trying hard to master something, I don't even worry about self-esteem. It just feels like it's always there because I know I'm at least trying to do something. Same with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When I first started that, speaking of an ego destroyer, you walk in and the first day I'm getting choked out by someone that's, low on the belt rankings, I should say, at this school. And I thought I'd do okay, but next thing you know, I was stuck in a position and I was getting choked. So that changed my mind about my physical abilities. And so on that aspect, I had to start over as well and rebuild. And after a while, you're like, this is a lifelong pursuit. And as long as you hang your hat on the idea of improving all the time and trying to get as deep as you can with things, I believe that self-esteem doesn't even come into the equation after a while. Kind of like that Guitar Center post I put up where when you first start guitar and you walk into Guitar Center, you're kind of shy and you suck, so you don't play very loud. Then you get better and better, and as you do, you want to play louder and louder, and then you're just annoying everybody, but you don't care because you like the attention you're getting. And then after a while, you get so good that self-esteem and all that stuff doesn't matter anymore, and you turn down, and maybe you'll play in the back room a little bit and buy a set of strings on your way out or whatever, but you'll reach this point where that kind of thing doesn't matter anymore. So ask a lot of guitar players, a lot of musicians who have done, I'd say, put in a lot of practice, maybe decades, and they won't even mention self-esteem anymore. They'll just say, yeah, that maybe was an issue back when I was younger, but you reach a certain level and suddenly that's not even a factor. It's a really good feeling. But that being said, in the beginning, if you're really low with your own self-esteem, you definitely want to see this as an opportunity to get to a new place with your self-esteem. You might become a monster like I did for a while, but hopefully if you're listening to these words, you can at least curtail it a little bit. You can kind of keep an eye on yourself and make sure that doesn't happen to you. I was kind of laughing because when people hear self-esteem, they think of two things, either the Offspring song or the self-esteem movement. And we all know that movement now, I think, where all the parents were like, we just have to tell the kids they're all great and we have to give them all trophies. And my brother actually just showed me his son's participation trophy. I can't say that word today, participation trophy. And I swear to God, it was 4 feet tall. And it was crazy. I thought about when I won a first place trophy back when I was 10 and it was only a couple feet tall and that was for a first place trophy. Things have changed. This thing was taller than my nephew, so that was crazy. And so I hope that answers your question as far as self-esteem and guitar goes. Guitar can definitely get you out of a rut when it comes to that. It can bring you to very high places. And as long as you keep an eye on yourself, you can really make that a positive thing. All right, guys, we'll have our interview tomorrow. I'm hoping it goes all right. I've so far only done these single-person podcasts, so hopefully I can get through all the technical stuff. And we will see you guys soon. Thanks for listening.